Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Friday Night Smackdown review. And Smackdown tonight, of course, was from the Amway Center in Orlando. And if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, my review of this week's Dynamite is up. Uploaded earlier today, so if you guys haven't checked out my review of Dynamite, definitely go check it out. But SmackDown tonight, what can I say? Show was absolutely terrible. Show was garbage. Outside of Sasha's segment and AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn and the Samoan street fight with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Sheamus and Corbin. Outside of those three things, the show was terrible. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. So SmackDown opened up tonight with the dirt sheet with The Miz and John Morrison. They were in the ring and they end up planning to give us the dirt and not Otis's underwear. And Miz ended up teasing dirt on topics about Bayley and Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. And then The Miz ended up bringing up Mandy Rose. We saw footage from Talking Smack from last weekend from the WWE Network. I'm like, who watches Talking Smack? So we saw the footage from Talking Smack last weekend where The Miz ended up getting Mandy Rose traded to Monday Night Raw by calling in a favor. As what The Miz was saying. He called in Mandy Rose getting traded to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown a favor. And so after we saw that footage, The Miz ended up saying that he is not playing mind games with Otis or using his influence to play games. Miz ended up saying that he's just trying to help Otis because he knows what's like having the Money in the Bank contract. And that you have to be on high alert and looking for every chance possible. And The Miz ended up saying that Otis couldn't do that with Mandy Rose around. So The Miz ended up saying that he sent Mandy Rose away to Monday Night Raw. And that so that Otis can focus on cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. Miz ended up saying that Otis should be thanking him because he sent away the one true thing that was keeping him from the top of WWE. So The Miz ended up saying that Mandy Rose has already moved on over to Monday Night Raw. John Morrison then ended up saying that Dolph Ziggler is on Monday Night Raw and they want to do more than smell that rose over there. So then Otis ended up coming out. Otis then marched to the ring, pissed off because of the news of Mandy Rose being moved to Monday Night Raw, thanks to The Miz. So Otis then ended up hitting the ring. He ended up clobbering The Miz and John Morrison. And he tosses their chairs out of the ring. Tucker ended up coming out and he tossed The Miz back into the ring. Otis then ended up launching The Miz to the mat. Tucker ended up rolling John Morrison in. Otis ended up dumping Morrison over the top rope, back out to the floor. Otis then ended up punishing The Miz. And Otis ended up hitting the caterpillar on The Miz. Otis then ended up climbing to the second rope. And he hit the Vader Bomb to The Miz. And Heavy Machinery music ended up hitting. Otis ended up standing tall over The Miz. And that was basically that. And then we had The Miz had his clothes off because Otis went back into the ring, beat up on The Miz more. Miz had his clothes ripped off. And all we saw was him wearing his tighty-whities, his underwear, after joking earlier about, Otis wearing them. So, yeah, we saw The Miz in his tighty-whities, which we all didn't need to see. So, Otis and Tucker were still in the ring. Miz ended up running away to the back, trying to cover himself up with John Morrison, helping him out. And that was that. But the segment was garbage. It was awful, in my opinion. So then when Smackdown came back from the commercial, Morrison was backstage with The Miz. He was talking about how mad Otis is. Miz ended up saying that this is all part of the plan. So Kayla Braxton ended up walking up for comments for The Miz and Morrison. Miz ended up answering his phone as Kayla was trying to get some comments from The Miz and Morrison. So Miz ended up answering his phone. And he ended up asking someone on the other end, "Did you see her? Is it enough?" So then The Miz ended up smiling. He gives Morrison a thumbs up. And he ended the call. Morrison ended up laughing about, all this being a part of the plan. And so that was basically that. Miz ended up walking away, still in his underwear, still in his tighty-whities. And that was that. Then we had Gran Metalik versus Cesaro. This match was in my opinion. We had Kalisto and Lince Dorado at ringside. And we had the bell ring. Metalik went for an easy pin to Cesaro, which Cesaro ended up kicking out. Metalik ended up sending Cesaro flying around the ring. Metalik went to the corner, got distracted by, Lince Dorado and Kalisto arguing on the outside, and that led to Cesaro taking advantage of the match. Cesaro ended up landing a big uppercut in the corner to Gran Metalik. And at the end of the match, you had Cesaro hit the neutralizer to Gran Metalik. And there you go. Cesaro ended up winning the match. But overall, the match itself was very in my opinion. Next week we're going to have Cesaro versus Lince Dorado, and then the next week Kalisto. Is Cesaro going to defeat all three of the Lucha House Party? So yeah, but then it was announced that Cesaro and Nakamura will defend the titles against Lucha House Party at Clash of Champions. Then we saw Kayla Braxton. She was backstage with Jey Uso. Kayla ended up asking Jey Uso about the tag match last week. Jey ended up saying that Paul Heyman told him that Roman not being there for the match was a miscommunication. Yeah, because last week it was just Jey Uso in the match. Roman didn't come out till towards the end of the match, where Roman just laid the spear. But yeah, Jey ended up saying that Paul Heyman told him that Roman not being there for the match was a miscommunication, and that he hopes the same won't happen again. So Jey went on and he ended up saying that Roman has been throwing his weight around since they were little, but they're not little anymore. He ended up saying that tonight he's focused on the Samoan street fight. And that was basically that. And then we got a little promo here from Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle was backstage with a Know Your Bro segment. Matt Riddle ended up saying that people always ask him why he says bro so much. He ended up saying that it's like a universal language, one that can convey any emotion. He ended up showing, faces, how bro can mean happy, Bro can mean sad. It can mean anger, introspective, afraid, and confident. He's like, see, that's easy, bro. We know why he says bro so much. Because the guy is damn cool. I mean, WWE should start using Matt Riddle more. And all we just see is Matt Riddle just, in these, in this segment here. And WWE should just use him in the ring. They're just, putting him in catering. Get Matt Riddle in a match on TV again. Instead of him being in catering all the time. So then we had a moment of piss, or as they would say, a moment of bliss, moment of piss, moment of shit. So Alexa Bliss was out there. She ended up welcoming us to a moment of bliss, a moment of piss, a moment of shit, whatever you want to call it. And she ended up saying that normally her special guest would be in the co-host seat with her. So she introduces her guest, who was Nikki Cross. So we had Bliss end up congratulating Nikki Cross, saying that she's so happy for her, because she has a shot at Bayley for the Smackdown Women's Championship once again. So Nikki Cross ended up thanking Alexa. Bliss ended up saying, but we know what the show is about. And she has no filter. So she has to ask the questions the fans want to know. Alexa ended up telling Nikki, what her plan for the match is against Bayley. Knowing that it has to be different. Because, Nikki Cross lost to Bayley for most of the summer. So Nikki Cross ended up going on about how the match will be different. And that Bayley won't have Sasha watching her back. So she ended up saying, so now Nikki can focus on giving Bayley a beating. Nikki Cross ended up talking about how Bayley was so proud to hit her with the chair last week. And Nikki Cross ended up looking at the camera. And she ended up warning Bayley that she will take the title from her at Clash of Champions. Nikki Cross ended up asking if that answers the question. And it does. So Nikki Cross then ended up asking Alexa Bliss what's gotten into her now. Nikki Cross ended up asking about Alexa, walking off after she hit the Sister Abigail on Nikki Cross last week. Alexa ended up saying that she doesn't know how to explain it because she doesn't fully understand it. So we had she ended up saying that she feels like some kind of change, but she doesn't know how to handle it. So then out came Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans came out. She ends up taunting Alexa and Nikki. Evans ended up saying that Cross only won last week because Alexa walking out put Lacey off her game. Put her off her game. So Lacey ended up mocking Nikki Cross and ended up saying that she will never beat Bayley because she has something Nikki never will have. And that is a mean streak. Lacey ended up saying that Nikki Cross is too nice and that she's too short, too weak, and damn sure has no backbone. So Nikki Cross ended up getting up. She ended up grabbing Lacey Evans' handkerchief. She blows her nose with Lacey Evans' handkerchief. And she ended up saying, she's not too nice. Lacey Evans went to pick it back up. Nikki Cross ended up kicking Lacey Evans and she ended up attacking Lacey Evans. They ended up brawling on the stage. And Lacey Evans ended up getting the upper hand on Nikki Cross. They ended up heading to the ring. and SmackDown went to commercial. But this segment was whatever. It was whatever. Then we had Lacey Evans versus Nikki Cross. Absolutely boring match. As the match started, we had Lacey Evans applying hand sanitizer to her. Nikki Cross ended up attacking Lacey Evans, and that was when the match started. So there was a point in the match where Lacey Evans ended up grabbing her hand sanitizer, and she rubbed it all over Nikki Cross's face and also her hair. Nikki Cross ended up getting upset, fought back. She ended up dropping Lacey Evans in the middle of the ring. Nikki Cross ended up delivering a splash in the corner to Lacey Evans. And at the end, Nikki Cross ended up hitting the tornado DDT from the corner to Lacey Evans. Nikki Cross then ended up hitting the neck breaker off the top rope. And there you go. Nikki Cross ended up winning the match. But overall, match was garbage. Post-match, Bliss ended up saying that Nikki Cross is her best friend. So Nikki Cross was celebrating in the ring. Alexa Bliss ended up cheering her on. And Lacey Evans was stumbling out of the ring and putting herself up at the announce table. Lacey was yelling at Corey Graves and Michael Cole. And Alexa Bliss ended up staring off. And she was staring off, like she was like spaced out. And she slowly got up and she comes over to Lacey Evans. So Bliss ended up grabbing Lacey Evans, and she ended up hitting the Sister Abigail to Lacey Evans on the floor. And we hear Michael Cole on commentary pointed to how Lacey Evans ended up saying that Lacey Evans said the Fiend right before Alexa ended up snapping. So Alexa Bliss ended up walking off with a stare, and that was that. And so after that, we had a little nice video package on the Amway family, with Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and the whole thing was narrated by Paul Heyman. Showed like old photos. It was pretty nice video package. And then we went to Sasha Banks. Sasha was via satellite from the WWE Performance Center. She was wearing a neck brace, and from what I heard, news came out that Sasha is involved in The Mandalorian in Season 2, the Star Wars The Mandalorian, which I still haven't checked out. Haven't checked out the first season yet, but from what I've read, she is in the new trailer for Season 2 of The Mandalorian. It was announced because there was a lot of people saying, oh yeah, that Sasha being in The Mandalorian was only a rumor, and that they believe that it wasn't true, but it was revealed that she was in the trailer for a little bit. But Sasha was here. She was wearing a neck brace. Sasha ended up getting emotional. She ended up saying that she's still here. Michael Cole ended up asking about last week's comments where Bayley ended up saying that it was Sasha who used her the whole time and was waiting to strike. Sasha ended up saying that just like Bayley was using her, and now she's just useless to Bayley. Sasha said that she heard every single word last week, and she can't help but be filled with emotions as she sits at the Performance Center, a place they help build and work together at every day. Sasha ended up recalling time that they spent together at the Performance Center. And she ended up saying that she also recalls the summer that they had on Smackdown at the Performance Center. She ended up saying that they showed the world how they were taken over, how her and Bayley were taken over. So she was still getting emotional. Sasha was still getting emotional. She ended up saying that if these walls could talk, they would tell you. So she ended up addressing Bayley. And she ended up saying, yes, Bayley is an idiot and is naive because she's nothing without her. She's nothing without Sasha. Sasha ended up saying that since she's useless to Bayley now, one day she's going to take the one thing Bayley loves, and that is the Smackdown Women's Championship. So Bayley then ended up appearing behind Sasha. Bayley ended up smacking Sasha with a chair. Bayley, of course, was at the Performance Center. She ended up wrapping the chair around Sasha's neck, and trainees came to help out. They ended up calling for Bayley to get out of there, and then they ended up calling for a medic to come tend to Sasha, and that was that. But I thought this segment was decent. Really like this segment. It sets their feud. It sets their feud up. For Sasha and Bayley. Sasha is going to be getting that shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship. Soon. But really like this whole segment with Sasha. I mean, you could tell how emotional she was, because you could tell her and Bayley, were close. They were really good friends. I know it's a whole story. I know it's a whole storyline thing, but you saw it in their you saw the friendship between them. And then we had Styles versus Sami Zayn. This was a pretty good match between these guys. Sami Zayn came out, of course. He was carrying his old Intercontinental Championship. Sami ended up going to the Timekeepers area, yells at Greg Hamilton for not introducing him as the Intercontinental Champion. Styles ended up attacking Sami at ringside. Styles ended up slamming Sami's face into the announce table. So the bell ends up ringing. Styles kept control of the match, dropped Sami over his knee for a 2 count. Sami ended up rolling to the floor for a breather. And it was just back and forth between Styles and Sami Zayn. And at the end of the match, we had Sami end up running for the haluva kick. He was going to hit the haluva kick to Styles. Styles ended up grabbing him. Sami ended up rolling Styles for a 2 count. And so, because of that, Sami got in the face of Jessica Carr, who was the referee. He was yelling at her. She was like, "Oh, I can't count that," because Sami ended up holding on to Styles' tights. So because of that, Sami got up in Jessica Carr's face, and he was yelling at her. Styles ended up coming from behind, rolled Sami Zayn up. There you go. Styles ended up winning the match. Post-match, Sami Zayn had a shocked look on his face, and he immediately attacked Styles. Sami ended up having, words with Jessica Carr at ringside. We had Sami Zayn end up ordering Greg Hamilton to announce him as the winner and also the Intercontinental Champion. Sami then grabbed his belt, and out came Jeff Hardy. From what I heard, Jeff Hardy has re-signed with WWE, and I thought Jeff Hardy would leave the company, join his brother Matt in AEW, but it looks like that's not happening. So Hardy ended up signing, ended up re-signing with WWE. So Jeff Hardy was limping out to the ring. He went right for Sami Zayn. Jeff Hardy ended up rolling Sami Zayn in the ring. He then went under the ring Jeff Hardy, and he ended up bringing out a table. And Hardy then ended up bringing a ladder out. Jeff Hardy ended up ramming a ladder into Styles at ringside. And he goes to bring the ladder in. Sami Zayn ended up running out. Jeff Hardy ended up using the ladder on both Styles and Sami Zayn. Hardy then ended up sliding the ladder in, and then he rolled Sami Zayn in. Jeff Hardy ended up dropping Sami with the twist of fate. He then climbed to the ladder. Sami Zayn then ended up rolling to the floor. And Jeff Hardy came down from the ladder. He asked for a mic. Jeff Hardy got on the mic, and he ended up saying that he's sick and tired of this Intercontinental Championship situation, and that he's sick of being called a cheat, and that he's tired of being called a fraud. Jeff Hardy said that he wants to end this all, and that he will fight both Styles and Sami Zayn at Clash of Champions. You know what I'm saying? But not in a normal match. They have to escape normal. Jeff Hardy then proposes a triple threat ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship at Clash of Champions. And so that was that. So we're going to be getting a triple threat ladder match at Clash of Champions. Intercontinental Championship going to be on the line. So it's going to be Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn. So we're getting that at Clash of Champions. So then we had Otis and Tucker talking backstage. A man ended up walking in and serves Otis with papers. Tucker then opens the papers up, and it reveals that Otis has been served with a lawsuit. So we all know that the Miz's plan here. This is all part of the plan. And Heavy Machinery was then looking at the papers, at the lawsuit papers. Tucker ended up saying that Miz and Morrison are suing Otis for emotional distress, also destruction of personal property, and creating an unsafe working environment. Also, Money in the Bank negligence. And they also said that the Dirt Sheet is a news program, and that Otis is violating their First Amendment right. So Tucker ended up saying that Otis needs a lawyer because Miz and Morrison want Otis to forfeit the Money in the Bank briefcase, or Otis is going to court. And that they said that Otis has 1 week to make a decision. So Otis ended up saying that they're in trouble. And then Tucker ends up saying that, Otis, you're in trouble. So that was that. So Otis has 1 week to make, his decision. Forfeit the Money in the Bank briefcase, or else he's going to go to court. And then we had Sheamus and Corbin backstage. We had a security guard walking by. Sheamus ended up saying that this is the one that he was telling Corbin about. So, Sheamus ended up thanking the guard for luring Big E out to the parking lot 2 weeks ago. He ended up saying that he owes him big time for making the attack happen. So the guard ended up thanking Sheamus and says he was just sent to inform Sheamus that his car is being towed. So Sheamus ends up walking over. Big E was standing there. So Big E then ended up attacking. Sheamus ended up running away. Big E ended up turning back to the guard. And he ended up saying that word on the street is that he was the one who set Big E up. So Big E ended up attacking the guard, and he destroyed him backstage. Big E takes this guard on the top of a car, and he starts slapping him around, starts slapping the guard around. Referees end up running over to try and talk Big E down. So Big E, still on the top of this car, he slams this guard down through the windshield of the car with a belly-to-belly suplex. Big E ends up saying that he's not done. So he ends up smacking the guy around, puts him into the trunk of the car. And then we got, once again, Adam Pearce and a few others trying to calm Big E down. Pearce ends up saying that he needs Big E to leave the Amway Center. Big E end up continuing to yell about Sheamus. Pearce ended up calling for someone to get that guard out of the trunk. And that was that. Now we got a new vignette of this mystery woman walking around in high heels with blonde hair. We see this woman turn around with a mirror, and with a mirror over her face. Her identity was still kept a secret, and we all know it's Carmella. We all know it. So it's no surprise there. And then we had the main event, the Samoan street fight. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Sheamus and Corbin. This was decent. We had Reigns end up taking the mic before the match got underway. He ended up saying that he came out first because he wants no confusion this week. He said, you can call this place whatever you want, but this is his yard, his place, his island, his WWE, and if you want it, come and take it from him. So Jey Uso then made his way out. SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back, we saw Corbin being carried to the ring by his caravan. So Sheamus ended up waiting on the ring apron. Reigns and Jey Uso ended up starting off the match by taking out Corbin and Sheamus. We had Sheamus end up getting knocked over the barricade from shots from Roman and Jey. Corbin ended up dropping Jey Uso on the floor with the deep six because he threw a chair at Roman's face. And Corbin ended up bringing Roman in the ring, and he ended up delivering a chair shot, but Roman ended up kicking him as he went to pick up the chair. Reigns then ended up unloading on Corbin with chair shots while he was down. Roman went under the ring to get a table. Sheamus ended up running out of nowhere and delivered a big knee to Roman's jaw. And at the end of the match, you had Reigns end up spearing Corbin. Jey went to the top, hit the Uso splash onto Corbin. And there you go. Roman and Jey end up winning the match. The cousins end up winning. But post-match, you had Roman standing up. He looked confused. Heyman was watching from ringside. Jey was, getting, excited and hyped up. Roman didn't share his excitement in his face. Jey ended up grabbing the Universal Championship, stared at it, and he tossed it to, of course, his cousin Roman. Jey went back to celebrating, and Roman was looking at him, and he started smiling. So, and pretty much, that was basically that. That was how SmackDown went off the air. But overall, terrible show tonight. Show was garbage, aside from, of course, Sasha's segment, AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn, and the Samoan street fight. Everything else, garbage. So anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review, and definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until the next video, I'll see you all later.